Nothing this large was ever meant to stand here. In the dry season, the savanna becomes a bleached graveyard of alkaline silt and 50-degree heat, and somehow, against everything that should be true, he is still standing in it. The sun is no longer a source of life. It is a kinetic weapon, and there is nowhere to hide from it. This 7-ton frame has become a furnace he cannot escape. His body is failing, not from effort, but from simply existing in the wrong era. But nature did not build the tyrant to die in the dirt. Deep within his brain, something older than memory awakens. He stops fighting the air and begins to hunt the wind. His sense of smell, more powerful than any predator alive today, locks onto a scent from 5 miles out. The pain is silenced by something more ancient than pain. He is no longer an animal in distress. He is a 7-ton predator in a state of total focus. The salt finally breaks, but the heat doesn't. He trades the open furnace for a suffocating mire, trading the dust for black mud and the smell of rot. The water is foul, but it's cool enough to stop the fever in his blood. Then he steps into the open, and everything changes. He isn't just out of time, he is out of place. Built for timber and fog and the close geometry of a dead world, the open savanna leaves the king naked. His 40-foot frame is visible for miles. For a predator designed for shadows, being seen feels like being hunted. His vision, hawk-sharp at mid-range, drowns in the shimmering flat horizon. His depth perception fails against the endless open earth, a predatory agoraphobia, the ground falling away beneath him in every direction. And then the sound hits, low, subsonic, everywhere. Elephant infrasound, frequencies below human hearing, moving through the ground itself. He cannot locate it. He cannot escape it. It is a haunting without a source, and it is driving him towards something beyond hunger, beyond instinct. 80 kilometers per hour against 20. The outcome was decided before he moved. Before he takes 3 strides, they are already gone. The savanna doesn't care who he is. It only cares what he is right now. But the savanna has its own answer. In the distance, something is moving toward him. The Cape buffalo has no category for this smell, no memory in his bloodline that matches what his nostrils are telling him. He is the most dangerous animal in Africa, not because he is the strongest, because he is the only one that meets a threat he doesn't understand with a decision to destroy it. The vultures arrive first. They always do. They land at a distance that feels safe, except nothing about this feels safe. They stay where they are, watching, but he stops. The meat drops from his jaw without a thought. Something has arrived on the wind that has no name in any living creature's memory. Chemical, enormous, impossibly alive. 3 miles away, a lone bull elephant stands in the open. Not alone by accident, alone because nothing wants to be near him right now. Dark, oily fluid streams down the sides of his face from glands that have one purpose: to broadcast dominance to everything alive within miles. His testosterone has not just spiked, it has multiplied 140 times. He will attack anything that exists within his sight. The Tyrannosaurus has never encountered this signal before, but something in the oldest part of his brain understands it. Something massive is out there. And for the first time since he stepped into the savanna, he is not the most dangerous thing in it. He leaves the buffalo without looking back. The vultures take their chance, but his focus has already shifted. The land here turns gold in the late light. A dead tree stands alone against an endless plain, and beyond it, a mountain capped in snow has watched this ground for longer than memory. When they finally see each other, the distance means nothing. The elephant's ears spread to their full width. His eyes move once to those tusks. He has felt bone before. He knows what it does. And for the first time, he is not sure. But the elephant doesn't wait. He stands over what should be the greatest meal of his life. He does not eat. The wound in his flank is deep, but it isn't the wound that's killing him. He has been burning since dawn. The fight took the last of what the heat had left him. The vultures that have circled since morning begin to land, patient, the way they always are.